So, today we're diving into something really fascinating, a blueprint for life. It's a guide that promises a direct line from these really profound spiritual beliefs to the smallest, tiniest choices we make every single day. It's a framework built on faith, and we're about to see exactly how it all fits together.
And that really is the big question, isn't it? In a world that's just changing so fast, how can these timeless principles possibly stay relevant? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down a system that aims to do just that by giving us a clear structure that connects the unseen world to our very real, everyday decisions.
First things first, we have to start at the very foundation. Before we can even begin to talk about actions, we've got to understand the core beliefs they're built on. And that means starting with a world that's beyond what our eyes can see.
So our journey into the unseen starts with angels. According to the source material, they were created from something called nur, which is this celestial light. And these are not just, abstract figures. We're talking about powerful beings like Jibreel and Mikael, who are described as carrying the very arsh of God, his throne.
And you can see these beliefs are grounded directly in Scripture. This verse right here from the Quran describes angels as these powerful messengers with wings, really establishing their role in the divine order. This foundation in the unseen, it's what sets the stage for absolutely everything that follows. Okay, so how do we get from this abstract belief to something practical, something human? Well, the framework presents the Prophet Muhammad as the ultimate role model. He's the person whose life translates these core beliefs into a tangible guide for how to actually live.
So you see this number on the screen, 300. Kind of random, right? Well, it's actually tied to a really powerful story that shows this divine blueprint in action. Get this. At his wedding, a pretty small amount of food was brought out, but the Prophet invited 300 people to eat from it, and miraculously every single person ate until they were full, and the dish, it stayed just as it was. This event is seen as a clear sign of divine blessing, real, tangible evidence that reinforces faith.
Now, what's really interesting is the shift here, from this massive miracle to a tiny personal action. This is what's called a sunnah, or a prophetic tradition. Just by holding a handshake until the other person pulls away, the Prophet gave us a template for showing respect and care in our interactions. It's such a small detail, but it has a huge impact.
Here's another example of guidance through just, everyday life. The Prophet said this about his wife Aisha. But what on earth is Thareed? This statement is a little bit of a puzzle, but it's one that actually reveals a ton about what he valued.
And it turns out Thareed was a simple, humble dish, just bread and gravy. But it was considered the most nutritious food you could get at the time. So by comparing his wife to this dish, he wasn't praising something fancy or extravagant. He was praising her essential goodness, her profound value. It's a really powerful lesson in appreciating simplicity.
Okay, so we've got the beliefs, we've got the role model. Now we get to the core of the framework, a kind of moral toolkit that categorizes all of our actions. And this system provides incredible clarity on what's required, what's encouraged, and what is absolutely forbidden.
Let's break this down. First, you have Fardh. These are the obligatory duties, the things you have to do, like following the detailed laws of inheritance. Then you have Nafl, which are voluntary good deeds, things like performing an extra prayer after sunrise for blessings. And finally, you have sin, or the forbidden actions.
And within that category of forbidden actions, our source highlights these three as being especially severe: adultery, theft, and drinking alcohol. These are set apart because of their really profound spiritual consequences.
And this is the key. The teaching states that when a person is actively in the middle of one of these major sins, their iman, their faith, it actually departs from their body. It only comes back when the sin is over. That just shows you how seriously these actions are viewed within this whole moral framework.
Now we're going to connect all the dots. This entire system, the beliefs, the role models, the classified actions, it isn't just for its own sake here in this world. It is directly and intimately linked to a final accountability in the next life.
So what are we actually entitled to in this life? According to this teaching, it all boils down to just three fundamental rights. The first is the most basic: enough food to survive. The second is enough clothes to cover ourselves, for protection and for modesty. And the third is a simple home for shelter, food, clothing, and a roof over your head. That's the entire list. And this is the line that puts everything into perspective. Every single thing beyond those three basic necessities, every luxury, every extra possession, every action you took to get them, you will be questioned about it. You'll have to account for it.
It's a powerful statement on materialism and responsibility. And this verse from the Qur'an, wow, it serves as the ultimate conclusion to this entire framework. It promises this perfect, inescapable scale of justice, where nothing, not even something as small as an atom's weight, is overlooked. Every good deed and every bad deed will be seen and will be weighed.
So that brings us right back to our opening question, but now with a really detailed answer. This framework gives us a world where every single choice matters, from the biggest things in life down to the most mundane. Which leaves us with one final thought. If every single action is weighed, right down to an atom, how does that change the choices you're going to make today?